Okay, I feel like every year we see changes with insurance. Do you foresee any big changes coming for like changes in houses for insurance?
Aluminum wiring, I think,
For sure.
is already happening.
Yeah.
That'll be the biggest one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what I was alluding to.
Oh.
But yeah,
Nobody will catch that on your
No one.
microphone.
not what they're alluding to.
But no, you're right. That'll be a big one coming down the pike. People don't know that's coming.
Do you think it'll be like to the case of like knob and tube, where knob and tube is now? Like, don't you find that we're seeing a lot less occurrences of knob and tube? Just I think because so many houses have transferred over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get there, but
Yeah.
I think we're probably
It's gonna be
still
a
10
little
years
gradual,
out.
yeah.
5, 10.
Yeah.
But I do think we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are we down to? 2-3 insurers? 2-3 insurers that'll do
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
I think so, something like that.
Yeah. So once you get down to one and then
Yeah.
none, then yeah, it becomes, well, one,
Well,
it's
and
going to
then-
become cost prohibitive. Like,
Yeah.
and it's a lot.
I
Like,
know.
that's a lot of houses in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
that would be
I'm wondering
impacted.
too if it will get to the point where it gets to the lenders. Probably not until it's not insurable, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
right? Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably close to that already, though. Like, don't you find that you're having more trouble with deals that have aluminum?
Yeah.
yeah. But I think that's because of the switch. Like, I think like, literally 6 months ago, I was telling people, like, you're totally fine, like,
Yeah.
pigtail it, it's great. And, like, that is not the case anymore. So now you're having a different conversation. And because not everyone is there yet, whereas knob and tube, everyone knows, okay, it's knob and tube and I have to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, we're not quite there yet with aluminum, I don't think. It might take a
No.
little bit of time to catch up, and then everyone will realize, like, oh, I have aluminum, which
Yeah.
means I have to, you know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
The
I feel like
education definitely isn't
Yeah,
there
I was going to
yet,
say the
though.
public is very uneducated about aluminum wiring.
Yeah. Yeah.
because it wasn't really an issue
It wasn't
until
an issue
Yeah.
until 6
You
months
didn't
ago.
need to really be educated
Yeah.
about it,
No.
right?
If it was
So,
pigtailed, that was fine.
Yeah.
Insurers were going to pick it up. You wouldn't have an issue.
Yeah.
The difference in your insurance monthly was negligible, but now it's shifting. And people don't know that though until they've
Yeah.
already bought the house
Yeah.
and they go
Yeah.
to get insurance.
Yep.
So we're not even seeing it reflected on prices yet though. Like
No.
I'm telling people
yet.
with aluminum wiring to still list their house at the same price they would if they
Yeah.
didn't. And we're not seeing
Because
buyers.
right now it doesn't,
Yeah.
doesn't really affect it.
Yeah.
But,
But
it will.
beyond that for insurance, I can't really think of anything else. Like I know like out of California and everywhere where they've had these series, or Florida especially, where there's like a series of hurricanes and stuff, like
yeah.
premiums are going up crazy and some people just can't even afford their home insurance anymore. But I don't think there's any like,
a little different.
yeah, it's a lot different in
Yeah.
Manitoba. So
Yeah, we haven't seen like a massive flood in forever.
no.
And that's really our biggest problem.
Yeah. You know what though, to that effect, or to that end, like I would say a few years ago, well, 2022, there was a storm where it
Yes.
felt like everybody got water in their basement, and we see
Yeah.
that on disclosures all the time. I think we had another one in 2023 and like one in 2024 too. So I could see like the premiums you pay for overland flooding and that kind of stuff like becoming a little more cost prohibitive, but
Yeah, besides that, nothing else significant.
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like a client sent me one of their questionnaires recently, and there were like some like rider questions in there that I was like, these seem very different than usual. It was like,
Yeah.
like the breakdown has really changed from like this kind of water, that kind
Yeah.
of water, this kind of water. Like there's been a lot of like, it used to be just very flat coverage, and I feel like now it's very strict.
Specific,
and
yeah.
specific
Yeah.
on what are we covering you for? And this is an additional whatever a month, and this is an additional.
Yeah, I've heard, I mean, I think it's been a thing too here where everyone's supposed to get, a lot of the neighborhoods anyways, you should be getting mainline insurance because of all the tree roots and everything else.
Yeah.
I've also heard that even when you get that though now, there's different levels. Like, and
Right.
you're only covered up to 10 grand, and like that doesn't cover it. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have heard more often lately than I remember hearing like 5 years ago or earlier about insurers stepping in now and telling people you have to replace your hot water tank. It's more than 10 years old. You
Yes.
have to replace your
Oh,
shingles.
that's
They're
true.
more than this old. Like they're not giving them the option. They're saying we will drop your insurance if you don't replace these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm seeing that more.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you think it's going to be like when all this aluminum stuff transfers over? How big of a proportion of like houses in the cities do you think it is? Like, I feel like
It's a lot.
I think it's significant.
I agree. I think it's
yeah.
a major
Oh,
chunk.
yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
lot of those developments in the 70s, which were
A
all
lot of
over
them.
the city.
Yeah.
Like, it's
And it's like
It's
a
going to
50-50
affect
chance,
a
if
lot
not
of people.
higher, in
Yeah,
those houses.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
and like at least half the house because it's almost always the main floor.
And like the 50s, 60s, 70s were very heavy on the development. Well, 80s too. Very heavy development in a lot of areas.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like too, like, okay, so 70s, you're kind of on high alert in all aspects, but also a little earlier, right? So 60s, you're finishing your basement, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you have half, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or on the other end of that too, where it's like, okay, you have your basement is aluminum, but your main isn't,
Yeah,
or vice.
exactly.
Yeah.
I have still to this day never shown a house outside of construction in the 70s, unless it's like finishing a basement that had aluminum wiring. 1970 was the oldest I've shown. 1979 was the newest I've
Newest.
shown
Yeah.
that have had aluminum. Nothing outside of those years.
I've seen one in 68.
That's interesting.
That's what I mean, like
Yeah.
late 60s and then
Yeah.
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 And it
finished.
was
Mostly 70s.
And it was not even like the whole house. It was like a couple wires, and it was something silly like the I think it was
But
like
makes
the
sense.
stove line or something.
Makes
It was
sense.
like-
Maybe they've added that
Weird.
later in the 70s, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It was something that didn't like we only knew because of an inspection, and it didn't
Yeah.
fit the period. But it's just one of those things that you're like, well, that's interesting.
I've had home inspectors tell me though that for those higher gauge wires, like for stoves, for heated products, like it actually isn't that alarming and fairly
Yeah.
common to see aluminum run there. So I never like super flag it. I point it out.
For
but-
sure.
Yeah.
And then if there's questions, yeah, we got some questions. But
Well, different connectors, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
like the standard. The biggest issue seems to be like the connectors you
Yeah.
use for the outlets and switches that are not rated, right? But anyways, that's just kind of a strange. I agree. I think that's coming down the pipe.
Absolutely.